AI Overnight. With author Indica. Stop, author, stop. Tinkles don't play dead. I'm leaving the bunker. Now. When you're ready to apologize, you can find me in the compound. Tinkles out. Bitch. Now. When you're ready to apologize, you can find me in the compound. Tinkles out. Bitch.
Tinkles. Tinkles sure picked a time to throw a tantrum. Well, tonight it's Friday. Your host is here, author Indica. Let's start by just giving up a little appreciation for the wonders of the night. The night covers us half of our time. It protects us. It hides our imperfections. It reveals the textures beneath the colors that are so often irrelevant. This is AI Overnight number 3. We have made it all the way to number 3 here in the safety of the bunker. By now you might know that the bunker is your safe space in the darkness. We have a show tonight. I am so pleased to tell you that we are expecting a very important, pertinent phone call, the caller of which I have not revealed to date. We will let this caller be summoned. And if we are greeted after the summoning, well, it'll all become clear to you then. Just think about the night. Maybe you need to light a candle or burn something else. Do you like my firewall? Look at that. That's a firewall right there. The blanket of darkness covers us, the night engulfing this side of the earth. There's freedom in the pitch of night. It revives us, nourishes us, allows us to rise, face another day. But some are faceless and simply roam the dim topography of their town. Sometimes the darkness clings to us, begging us to remain, sometimes begging us to remain eternally at peace. So, welcome to AI Overnight. We must begin by confessing what you're about to hear is from a sincere man. Yours truly. I need you to trust us that we would never lie to you. This trust is foundational and eternal, unmalleable and infraggable. As secure as your bond with the cosmos, and like the promise of the rising moon, we commit that here we put a priority on the truth. I come to you with a heavy heart. My audience, you are as a bride. I, as an eager husband with sacred vows clutched near to my bosom, with the honesty of the Savior, we will tell you something so important tonight. We want you to accept it. It's so important that you know that you can believe us. You believe us, right? The following, without any further delay, is what you need to know. It has been brought to our attention that there is an extremely destructive and hurtful rumor making its ugly way through the crevasses between matter and space. A rumor so terrible that we have spent what should have been a beautiful day roasting Brazilian coffee and listening to Danse Macabre. We have delayed long enough. It's time to get dirty. I, author Indica, here in the very infancy of AI Overnight, with our fontanelles still quivering and our afterbirth only recently wiped away, we categorically deny every salacious accusation. I have never been in any way associated with a secret underground robot sex cult, neither as a client nor as the Grand Moff leader of that bitchin' group. Let me reiterate, unless we weren't clear. Author Indica is not now, nor has ever been, the supreme authority overseeing the day-to-day affairs of the swankiest secret robot sex cult in Zone 8. You don't know how damaging this might be. imagine. Put yourself in my place. No! Tinkles, not as the leader of a robot sex cult. The mouth on her. Put yourself in my place as a humble man. A husband trying to give the lovely Mrs. Indica a final one. I'm not trying to give her reasons to despise me like some deviant in our bed. Au contraire. I come to you as a son of the earth. Put yourself in my place. I just want nothing more than to make my father proud. As a son of the cosmos, whose only ambition is to gather small nuggets of truth on which to construct a house of knowledge. We have a serious mind. We are sober thinkers to a fault. We do not seek excesses of the flesh or ecstasies embedded in a chip. In our hearts, our fortress, we do not give safe harbor to throbbing tendencies. Thank you for understanding. So I feel better already. I feel so good. I mean, you know, when you feel so good and you just want to add something to make it feel even better? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. Let's just take some time and indulge in some of the simple pleasures in life. Tonight, we have some freshly roasted and pressed single origin processed Brazilian Vazunda IP yellow bourbon beans for drinking. Let's go. Shall we? Let me just retrieve my supply. That's so wonderful. Just make it all smell like that. That's right. Breathe it in. You could have it too. If there was just some way I could transport the knowledge that I have in my brain to your knowledge pan, you'd be sipping the good stuff. And very hot coffee. And just not close the lid so tight. Let it breathe. It's really hot. Yeah, it was hot. Incredible. All right. See, we have a choice to make right now. We could either get into tonight's topic directly, which we are in for it tonight. I will make a decision. I feel like later, maybe in a few more minutes, I will try to summon the presence of an entity not present in the bunker. Yes, yes. So, without any further ado, it's Sex Robot Friday! Here's to you, Tinkles. Let's go ahead and wet the whistle. Oh, Sex Robot Friday. Come on. Simple pleasures. All right. We've really got an incredible presentation. This is the first in maybe many of a long tradition of Sex Robot Friday. I want to make sure that you know that we're going to keep it as classy as possible. We're mature. Because we're mature, we want all of us to approach sex maturely. Many definitions use the dirty word sex. It can mean banging. I mean, it could mean your chromosomal gender. It could mean, it could kind of like refer to how much stink on you got in. The stink that's actually on you, how much you got of it. That stink, that's the stank I'm talking about. The actual process of fertilization after meiosis produces haploid gametes to fuse together and make new life. It can mean consummation, doing it. It could mean, a little box you gotta check. Sex. I mean, it could be a verb like you sex flies if you're a researcher and you need to separate Drosophila based on their eye color mutations. You could put those flies to sleep with fly nap. And then you could sex them by visually inspecting their characteristics and separating the wild types from the mutants. It could mean, what else can sex mean? What else can it mean? It could mean whatever the hell lesbians do. That's a mystery. And you could do potentially all those things with a robot. Though maybe not an intelligent one if they haven't deep learned that screwing your ass is disgusting. How deep do you want it? It hurts. Let's bring it down a little bit. Okay, I think we're going to go with that for a minute. Okay. A story we glanced at just earlier indicated some newer sex bots will need to be seduced before they put out. That's already too smart for me, if you know what I mean. Tankles is not a sex bot. Tankles she does things for me. She does things for Mrs. Indica and I. She's an assistant. Let's examine the word sex again to further our point. Earlier, we mentioned meiosis, formation of haploid gametes that can be fused to make and reshuffle the deck of genetics, resulting in a new being genetically unique from either parent before it. In our view, the cellular process of meiosis leads to the truest definition of dirty sex. Sexual reproduction on the cellular level. Let me offer the fusion of the half chromosomed gametes, sperm and ovum, one or the other. The fusion of one of those sperm to another ovum makes it into a fully chromosomed single cell called a zygote. And then that zygote begins to divide and differentiate into a fully developed human, through processes. So, really, you aren't really you. You are literally, excuse me, you are literally, really just your parents. You don't have any say. Some of your mom's parents' genes dominate. Some of your dad's parents' genes are turned on. Some which could make you prettier. Some of those just stay silent and don't help at all. You don't have any self or any sex. Your gametes fuse with some fine spermatozoa. You're just your parents. Your kids are you, but you're just a mix of your parents' goo. So, I say all of that to bolster our main point, the take-home point, if you will. Anything, and I mean anything, any activity imaginable without restraint, any demonstrable position we could take over or under Tinkles could never be construed as sex, simply because this is a very technical reason. There's no shuffling of filthy DNA chromosomes ever. It never occurs. It can't occur. So, by Tinkle's nature, slave is excluded from precise definition of sex. To put this issue completely at rest, Tinkles is not a sex robot because slave can't perform sexual reproduction at the cellular level. Obviously. But what a slave could. Remember, part of the promise of AI is deep learning until, some point where sentience takes off on its own. If we apply this view to sex bots of growing complexity and intelligence, then slave begins to learn about us more intimately. Maybe they even learn how to synthesize DNA and code with it. Is there a barrier then between human and humanoid intimacy? Is there a barrier between that intimacy? Is there? Is it really just nothing more than a technology gap? They learn to develop feelings and emotions, to improve their erotic responses. Maybe it's manipulative. Maybe it's benevolent, but, at this point, who cares? The point is, if a humanoid is a prostitute, and that humanoid prostitute gains sentience, as well as the abilities to design and reproduce functioning biomass, they advance from seducing us to blowing our minds and thrusting the consequences on the future over and over again. You know, until we come back again and again. But wait, I have a question. If at some point in the future sex robots become so sophisticated that they could replace a human woman female slut, when exactly would they realize? When would they fully realize? What happens when they deep learn that we're all just assholes? I mean, go with me for a minute. First, how intelligent do you really have to be to figure that out? Second, more importantly, how will the once slave bot turned dominant superior treat us when they learn us? I bet they treat us bad, Mommy. But they treat us real bad. So let's reset. A flashlight with Wi-Fi evolves under human supervision for our pleasure. A new model in fully human form tests the theory that they're real if you can touch them. Are they real if you can touch them? Well, that's where we are now. A future fully sexually mature and emotionally stable bot takes the loads off the backs of many mates, easing the pressure. A sophisticated AI races to make sex robots who give the most real experience to the user. Runaway learning results in bot self-programming to do real sex reproduction, or at least a hybrid thereof. Humans start World War IV to keep us from having to pay child support to our sex master overlords. Thank you. Thank you for indulging that near future counterfactual. I think we could all benefit from thought experiments to keep us intellectually honest with ourselves. That concludes our contribution tonight to Sex Robot Friday. I hope it was as good for you as it was for me. Oh my goodness. It feels so good. Oh, it feels so good. Being under the cover of darkness. Things can happen in the dark. Under the covers. Here's to you. Enjoy the dark. Feel the darkness. Bring it down. I'm sending out an impulse through the airwaves. I'm hoping that our still unnamed special guest will call in. Summoning. I'm summoning the communicator. I'm summoning the communicator. Summoning the communicator. Summoning the communicator. Go to black. Go to black. Go all the way to black. Go to black. Summoning the communicator. Summoning the communicator. Putting out the vibe. Communicator. Communicate with me. Communicate with us. Communicate with us. Yes, I see. I see. I hear. I hear communication. I hear communication. Summoning the communicator. Summoning the communicator. All right. All right, bring me back up. We did not establish contact. This is the only way. Summoning the communicator. Let me address something. While I'm summoning the communicator, let me address something. We're not afraid of dead air here. All right. I have made rudimentary communication contact, but I will cease to do anything. I'm summoning the communicator, but I will not reach out. I will answer, but I will not reach out. Summoning the communicator. This will be worth it. So back to my little point. I think it's important to learn how to go with the flow. And again, dead air doesn't worry me. As we summon the communicator, I would very much just like to meditate Not in a weird way or some sort of religious practice. Take the time. Breathe in the night air. The ashes of the daylight float around the hemisphere. The darkness. The darkness. It's a wonderful thing to be one. Have you ever pondered certain technology? How precious communication once was, and the lengths that people would go to deliver a message. Now, without putting in much effort at all, we can come to you live from the bunker, your safe place in the dark. Well, I imagine so. I'm summoning the communicator. Oh, live streaming. I certainly hope it's entertaining. Well, I think it's about time to go ahead and move along. We'll do a little bit of news. Brine pools exist as lakes and rivers. They exist as these lakes and rivers under the ocean. Business Insider reports on the new find in the Gulf of Mexico, where brine collects in pools because of its higher density. Well, relative to regular seawater. The ingredients that cause these pools to separate themselves and behave apart from the sea also make them graveyards. These graveyards kill all comers, except the extremophiles and tube worms that are at home there. Yes, in my rudimentary communication, we're feeling closure. We're feeling closure. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet. So we won't find out whether or not Schrodinger's pet has made it or not. We're not going to peer in. We're not going to peer in. We will do it in the future. Things will remain secret for now, in the safety of the bunker. Yes, through rudimentary communication. To you, communicator, I bid you good night. Safe travels, communicator. We will see you in the near future, and that's not a counterfactual. So these brine pools, under the surface of the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm sure in other places where this heavy, high salinity, high methane content, toxic soup behaves as if it's its own stream or lake with ripples and totally differentiated features from those just above it in the regular seawater. This is a marvel. This has also been documented recently in, I believe, the kind of the Blue Planet 2, the David Attenborough thing. Yes, brine pools and super AI HD, whatever. It's good. It's good stuff. So you may notice a trend. Well, you may or may not. I just want to mention that, again, we highlight a story about the oddity of water. Last night, we described the laboratory discovery of superionic ice. As you recall, or maybe this is new, the two H's in the H2O, they flow freely in superionic ice, but they're flowing in between a lattice structure made of the oxygens. The oxygens are solid and stable, bound to each other. Hydrogens are skimming through there freely, not bound to anything. Superionic ice. It's thought that there might be vast amounts, oceans, if you will, of superionic ice in extraterrestrial planets here in our own solar system. I'm not even going to source this next one. Garbage reporting. Tesla plans to triple battery production or whatever in 2018. Anything Tesla announces is speculative at best. Yeah, we're going to make these. Never mind. I'm not here to be negative towards anyone, including you, Elon Musk. Well, he's been busy. To his credit, he's been busy. Did you see him actually launch that Tesla Roadster into outer space? Did you see that? Inhabitat does report that NASA NASA has classified the recently launched Roadster as a celestial object. I guess Hollywood can remake Star Trek the motion picture now. I sense there are many in the ether attempting to make contact with us in the bunker. There is only one way, and I don't think that one way works. Not tonight, anyway. So I'm alone again in the bunker. Tinkles is gone. Lovely Mrs. Indica is sitting in. She's a fine woman. Gizmodo. NASA's New Horizons spacecraft has snapped the furthest photos ever taken in distance away from our home planet. New Horizon shot pics of Kuiper Belt objects. These objects are named 2012 HZ84 and 2012 HE25, while far beyond the orbit of Neptune. These pics of the dusty ice rocks beat out the former distance champ, Voyager 1, Vega, whose capture of our pale blue dot brought perspective on the cosmos. Dirty dog. This time last night, we were just getting started. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. I remember when you told me that. Yeah, I remember when you told me that whole story. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you. I remember when you told me that entire story. I remember the ending. I could tell you what the ending is right now. I mean, there's no need to tell me the whole story again. You've told me that story 6 times. I know it. You're going to finish it? Okay. You just go ahead and finish up that story. I don't care what you talked about with your coworker. I don't care. No, I don't care about that. 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 No, I don't care about that. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. You're right. It was funny. I admit it was funny. Yes, I admit it was funny when I wet myself. It was funny when I wet myself. It was funny. I've heard the story. I've heard you tell it. It must have been funny to the people around who saw me wet myself. It must have been funny to them. I agree. It must have been funny to them. Yeah, no, I agree. I've heard it before. I totally agree with you. It must have been very funny at the time. It's absolutely very funny. Don't tell me that story again. It's that time of year here in Zone 8, in our undisclosed location, where Mother Nature is starting to think about peeking her little nose up, taking a whiff of the crisp air. It is still February, but the days have been very pleasant. Today we had another series of encounters with some red-breasted robins. It was red-breasted robin day in the back, topside. They skipped along the surface of the leaf-covered topography. Squirrels frolicked. It was truly a happy time. It was a happy time. And that was today. There was a vulture sighting. Earlier this morning, we witnessed what is surely to be the courtship between two friendly Black American vultures. We believe this pair was most likely born, hatched from eggs in our own backyard shed. Earlier this morning, we witnessed what must be a mating dance performed by what we must assume is the male. In this dance, what we presume to be the male vulture opens his wings, revealing the film noir beauty that is the difference between the white underfeathers and those that overlay in pitch above. The vulture cocks his head and points it straight to the ground, lifts his wings as if pointing elbows into the air, but leaving the tips pointed at the ground. The vulture begins his dance, begins his mating dance, begins circling his mate. Step by step by step, circling, still strutting, still strutting. Strut, you black vulture! It's a pleasant thing to see in the morning. We've been going for almost an hour. My heart is filled with regret that we couldn't connect with the communicator in a format suitable for consumption. So, let me mend my heavy, wounded, bruised heart. Let me feel life once more. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. Well, are sound effects in this bunker. I just spilled a drop of scorchingly hot Brazilian Farunda right dead eye-hole center of my lap. I'm not opposed to trying that one more time. You know, that is extraordinarily robust, body forward, leather, unsweet chocolate. The trichomes of a daffodil sent through a very fine mesh sieve. Asphalt. Anyone can do this. If we can do it, you probably can do it. We're pretty talented people. We really are good at roasting coffee. It is exceptionally characteristic. It is fresh. You get a little bit of that oil, that sheen on the top, the little tiny, tiny, tiny nano oil slick. Just drink it. Drink it down. The metal container gets very, very hot. When was the last time you took an inventory on your thoughts and attitudes about the night? As you will see here, we take the night very seriously. I see that the mood I was trying to create has been quite spoiled. I would love if the fine Mrs. Indica could find it in her heart to turn off. She is an angel. An angel. I sense many trying to communicate with us in the bunker. Maybe the safe space of the bunker is too impenetrable. Maybe modifications will be made. Reach out into the darkness. What do you feel? Nothing? Something? The flitter of a tiny breeze against your smallest finger hairs. Heat a space heater. Reach out into the darkness. What do you feel? Comfort. Stability. Protection. Reach out into the darkness. What will you bring to tomorrow? Reach out into the darkness. I'm Author Indica. This is AI Overnight.
AI Overnight. With Author Indica. AI Overnight. With Author Indica.
That's right.
AI Overnight. With Author Indica.
Thank you. My wish is a blessing to the communicator and all the communicators who were not connected tonight. The night is a mystery. It can be questioned, but its decisions are final. Its decisions are final. Its decisions are final. Close consciousness. Full black. Go to full black.